This is the San Francisco 49ers Report. I'm Chase Sr. Appreciate all of you for watching today's show. And coming up, why the San Francisco 49ers are favored to win Super Bowl 58 in Las Vegas. Can you imagine if the Niners are able to punch their ticket to the Super Bowl? The scene that it's going to be in Las Vegas, an absolute party, and we will be there. First, though, it's the quest for six for this football organization that's one of the most historic in all of sports. So if you think the 49ers can win it all this year, they have the makings of being the best team in football and winning the Super Bowl, I want you to hit that thumbs up icon like the video. If you don't have that level of confidence, I want you to explain why you don't think the Niners can win the Super Bowl. You look at the Super Bowl odds. Obviously, we're going to start here because San Francisco, after beating the brakes off the Philadelphia Eagles, they are the odds-on favorite to win Super Bowl 58, which would be their sixth Super Bowl championship. That's why the motto is Quest for Six. For those of you not familiar, the Niners checking in at plus 320. The team that they beat last week in Philadelphia on the road, the Philadelphia Eagles, coming in with the second best odds at plus 550. Kansas City Chiefs offense has struggled mightily this year, but when you have Patrick Mahomes, you have Andy Reid, you're always going to be a factor in the equation. Plus 650 for Kansas City. Then the other teams following suit. Miami Dolphins 7-1 odds, Cowboys at plus 850, and the Baltimore Ravens at plus 850. And I have 5 reasons why, among a lot of other talking points that I want to get to on today's show, for why I believe the San Francisco 49ers are Super Bowl favorites right now. And we start off with something that is so glaring to me, and that is the level of talent on the San Francisco 49ers roster. And San Francisco and Philadelphia, two of the top teams in football. I think they're still the top 2 best teams in football. But when I watched the 49ers, they were just a little bit more talented and a lot deeper than Philadelphia. They also looked like the fresher team. And when you canvass this Niners roster, there are so many future Hall of Famers, All-Pros, Pro Bowlers, and overall high-level players. So we start off on the offensive side of the football. Brock Purdy is tied with Dak Prescott as the odds-on favorite going into Week 14 to win NFL MVP. If this wasn't such a quarterback award, Christian McCaffrey would have a massive case to be made to win NFL MVP this year. His ability to impact the game through the air and on the ground is profound. And what McCaffrey is doing this year is special. And really, this deal that the Niners made in acquiring Christian McCaffrey in that trade with the Carolina Panthers looks like an all-time steal. More than 1,000 yards rushing, and then what he's able to do through the air with 429 receiving yards as well. He has combined for 17 touchdowns. So what he's doing is special. Last week against Philadelphia, Deebo Samuel popped and looked like the all-pro player that he was back in the 2021 season. 3 touchdowns for him, 2 through the air, 1 on the ground, and with the ball in his hands, he's an absolute menace. Brandon Aiyuk is having a career year. I believe he's on the cusp of being a top 10 wide receiver if he's not already. As a route runner with the footwork that he has, he's a dog. George Kittle, behind Travis Kelce, second best tight end in the NFL, and that's been the case for several years. And then you have arguably the best left tackle of all time in Trent Williams, who right now is defying Father Time, holding it down along the line of scrimmage. Then you shift gears to the defensive side of the football. High-level players there as well, and this is a credit to the Niners coaching staff. This is a credit to the front office, the scouting department, for being able to compile these players, because a lot of these players are homegrown. That includes Nick Bosa, the reigning Defensive Player of the Year, who over the last couple of weeks has played great football. This is a San Francisco 49ers defensive line and defense that has 18 sacks over the last 4 games. Javon Hargrave, can't say the Niners aren't aggressive. 4-year, $84 million contract in free agency. He's one of the best defensive tackles in the game, especially as a pass rusher. Arik Armstead, team captain, just the model of consistency and character. 49ers trading for Chase Young, who, since the Niners acquired him, that's a big reason why the 49ers have those 18 sacks in the last 4 games, since he became a part of the faithful. And then you go to the second level and the third level of this 49ers defense. Fred Warner, best linebacker in the game. Dre Greenlaw, one of the other best off-ball linebackers in the NFL. And Charvarius Ward is leading the National Football League right now in pass breakups with 15. No other player has more than 12. We didn't put Talanoa Hufanga, who was an All-Pro last year, on this list because right now he's lost for the year with that torn ACL, but you can put him in the equation as well. The 49ers have superstar starters, and they also have quality depth pieces. So a big reason why the 49ers are Super Bowl favorites, point number one, this roster, the best in the game. Point number two, the San Francisco 49ers are so multiple as a football club. What I mean by that, when a team is multiple, you have the offensive firepower to win in a shootout and put 30, 40 points on the scoreboard and be able to exchange punches and go back and forth with another really good offensive team. If the offense isn't clicking to its fullest capabilities, the 49ers have defensive talent to win a low-scoring game. Right now, for opposing offenses, it's really difficult for them to just score touchdowns and move the football. And then the Niners, they're also multiple because they can pass it with Brock Purdy, they can run it with Christian McCaffrey, they can defend the pass because Charvarius Ward and Ambry Thomas have played great ball, they can blitz the quarterback, but they can also defend the run as well, and that's been a calling card for this team since they came out of the bye. The 49ers can also win in any weather, sunshine and blue skies, or if it's raining and wet like it was last week in Philadelphia. And then statistically, you look at both sides of the football with how the Niners produce offensively and how the defense has been faring. Led by Kyle Shanahan, who is the architect of this Niners offense, San Francisco is averaging 29 points per game, third in the NFL. They're putting up nearly 400 yards of offense, third in the NFL. Their yards per play, 2. So this is a very explosive offensive unit. Their third down percentage is number 5 because Brock Purdy is able to make decisions so quickly and can improvise and throw with anticipation, but the running game is also so good. And then in the red zone, the 49ers are turning drives into touchdowns when they get into the red area inside the 20. Third best rate in the NFL, 64.5%. And then the Niners defense, less than 16 points per game allowed. That's number 2. Fifth in yards per game, fifth in yards per play. Third down defense has to get a little bit better, but their red zone defense is really good, and their red zone defense holding Philadelphia on their first 2 drives to 2 field goals, I thought was a turning point of that football game last week and allowed the Niners from that point on to erase a 6-0 deficit and outscore Philadelphia 42-13 the rest of the way and score touchdowns on 6 consecutive drives. So I do want to ask you this. This 49ers team is special. Which team, though, is the biggest threat to San Francisco not winning at all? It could be a team in the NFC. It could be a team in the AFC. Let me know that team down below in the comment section right now. Plenty more to get to on today's show for why the Niners are Super Bowl favorites. But first, today's 49ers Report is sponsored by PrizePicks, the largest independently run daily fantasy sports app in North America, and the best deal that any DFS app has to offer. It's a free download, but then if you use the link at the bottom of your screen, prizepicks.com/CLNS, you get a $100 deposit match. Producer Chip was on a heater last week, and this is why you got to tune into the show and download PrizePicks, because we've had a lot of winners this year, whether it's me, Trizzy, or Chip. Last week, this was the 49ers Report quadsum of selections. Christian McCaffrey, Jalen Hurts, more than a half rushing touchdown. Ding, ding. Hassan Reddick had to get a sack. He did. Ding, ding. And then George Kittle, a huge first half for him, more than 47.5 receiving yards. We cashed in on that as well. $100 deposit match, daily fantasy sports made easy. You can combine now your NBA and NFL picks. Get signed up today. Link is available down for you in the comment section and in the description of this video. I think for any team to be a Super Bowl contender or a Super Bowl favorite, you have to have a top-notch coaching staff as well as a very good front office. And San Francisco can certainly check both of those boxes. Kyle Shanahan is one of the best head coaches in the game. 3 NFC championship games over the last 4 years. one of the more creative minds when it comes to offensive football in this generation of the NFL. He's had a lot of success and once again having a lot of success. If he wins a Super Bowl, he becomes one of the most influential head coaches of this generation. And I know that a lot of people were not liking what Steve Wilks was doing as the Niners defensive coordinator during that 3-game losing streak going into the bye week. How about how this Niners defense has played over the last month? Steve Wilks is a leader of men. Steve Wilks, having a defensive backs background, has allowed a Jair Brown and an Ambry Thomas, in my opinion, to play just next-level football as young players for a Super Bowl contending defense. The adjustments that he made coming out of the bye were terrific. Steve Wilks is great. Brian Griese, look at what he's done now with Brock Purdy. Brock Purdy in his regular season career, 14-3 as a starter. Mr. Irrelevant, and statistically, as we're about to show you, one of the top quarterbacks in the NFL and an odds-on favorite to win NFL MVP. And I thought that Brian Griese did good work with Jimmy Garoppolo as well as Trey Lance last year. Chris Kocurek, best defensive line coach in the NFL, and John Lynch. He's not afraid to make a move. The fact that in the last calendar year plus, he's made some significant acquisitions. Trading for Christian McCaffrey, signing Javon Hargrave, signing Charvarius Ward last offseason, which obviously doesn't fit that last year-plus timeline, trading for Randy Gregory as well as Chase Young. And I know that the 49ers have missed on several draft picks over time in the John Lynch, Kyle Shanahan tenure since 2017. Alert, every team misses on draft picks. The 49ers are where they are right now in part because John Lynch. And then other names worth monitoring and mentioning. Adam Peters, assistant general manager. There's a reason why he's interviewed for other general manager gigs across the NFL. Bobby Turner, a great running backs coach who has developed backs and found backs in the draft who have ended up being impact players. Chris Forster has done a great job along the offensive line, developing Aaron Banks and a Jake Brendel. Hopefully he can do the same with Spencer Burford. We'll see about Colton McKivitz. Daniel Bullock is doing a good job with the DBs. Again, Ambry Thomas, Jair Brown, Johnny Holland, the coaching that he's done at linebacker with the Fred Warner and a Dre Greenlaw and then a Jalen Graham and a D. Winters. Oren Burks is playing good football this year, and before 2023, he was a longtime special teams player. And then for this staff to have Anthony Lynn as an assistant head coach and also teaming up with Bobby Turner to coach the running backs, that's the depth of this coaching staff. Point number 4, any Super Bowl favorite has to have elite-level quarterback play outside of a couple of instances, like a Trent Dilfer. Some people might want to point to Nick Foles, but Nick Foles in that playoff run for the Eagles in 2017 was terrific. Oftentimes, a Super Bowl team has an elite quarterback, and Brock Purdy has played elite football this year. He's 9-3, a couple of really statement victories against the Dallas Cowboys and the Philadelphia Eagles. He's completing 70% of his passes. That's number 1 in the NFL. He's thrown for almost 3,200 yards, 23 touchdowns, 6 picks. Yards per attempt to top all quarterbacks at 9.6. So too is his quarterback rating at 116.1. And you look at where Purdy ranks among all quarterbacks. I talked about the completion percentage, yards per attempt, QBR and quarterback rating, number 1. Passing touchdowns, he's 4th. Passing yards, he's 7th. Yards per game, he's 8th. So don't tell me that he's aided by a run-heavy offense. He's still putting up digits. And this year, Brock Purdy on pace for 4,511 yards, 33 touchdowns to go along with 9 interceptions. Point number 5 here. San Francisco has dominated teams, and they've dominated teams in spectacular and impressive fashion. Point differential. The Dallas Cowboys are number 1 at plus 168. The San Francisco 49ers, second at plus 163. We go into week 14, and every win that the Niners have been able to have here this year, they've been able to win going away, and they've dominated their opponent. They've also played a much more difficult and arduous schedule as compared to Dallas. The Cowboys have only 1 win this year against a team with a winning record. It came last Thursday against Seattle, And Seattle came into that game at 6-5. They lost their 6-6. So the only team that the Cowboys have won with a winning record is now 500, and they're about to be 6-7 after San Francisco smacks them around at Levi's Stadium on Sunday. So it's impressive that the Cowboys have been able to blow a lot of teams out. Not easy to do at the NFL level, but they've done so against a cupcake schedule. And then I'm going to give you a bonus one here on the fly. Number 6, elite teams and Super Bowl favorites. They all suffer injuries. They all have to deal with adversity. Can you plug and play players? And can you develop players? There have been a couple of developmental stories for this Niners team here in 2023, and even going back to last year, that have been notable and remarkable. The growth and the consistency of Brock Purdy, Mr. Irrelevant here, the final pick of the draft. Trent Williams put it in a great way when he said it's almost like he hit the $2 billion lottery with the final pick in the draft. The way that he's playing and the way that he's developed is a credit to this coaching staff. Aaron Banks has turned into a Pro Bowl level left guard. Brandon Aiyuk has gotten better and better and better each of the 4 years that he's been in the NFL. Talanoa Hufanga goes down. Jair Brown comes into that game against the Buccaneers, and he has a pass breakup against Mike Evans and a game-clinching interception. And since then, we haven't called his name because he hasn't done anything poorly. That's impressive for a rookie. Ambry Thomas, I think this is a huge credit to Steve Wilks. The 49ers needed to make a change in the secondary coming out of the bye. So they benched Isaiah Oliver, who was a sight for sore eyes. They put Deamador Lenore in the slot, Ambry Thomas to the outside. Ambry Thomas and Charvarius Ward on the outside as a cornerback tandem have been one of the best cornerback tandems for a month now. And that's only mentioning a few of these player developmental stories. So that is why the San Francisco 49ers are Super Bowl favorites. If I missed something, let me know in the comments section. And if you enjoyed today's 49ers report, shout out to the faithful. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe. Most importantly, though, give me a real one right now.